True off my chest. I told my mum to let go. She died 3 hours later. I just wanted to get this out, as I've never told anyone. A couple years ago, when my mum was dying of cancer, I was sat by her bedside 20 hours a day as she worsened. Lots of our family travelled over from Ireland to say their final goodbyes. It was one of the worst times of my life. Her organs were failing and she had jaundice. The shock of seeing my mum looking so fragile and broken is something that will stay with me for the rest of my life. The woman I used to call my mum was completely gone, and to me, all that was left was this suffering. For me, the hardest part was seeing this shell of a woman that used to be my mother. I could imagine the suffering she was going through. After her last sister had come to her bedside to say goodbye, when we were left alone, I leant close to my mum and whispered in her ear that she could let go. I told her she didn't need to be strong for me anymore. Everyone who loved her had come to pay their respects. I told her that she didn't need to suffer any longer. I continued to sit by her bedside until she was gone. When the rest of my family came in to see her lying there, everyone broke down and cried. I was the only person not crying. In my mind, I was happier seeing her at peace than the suffering she had been in hours before. I've never told anyone that I told her to let go. I feel like my siblings might hold resentment, but to me, seeing her dead was much easier than seeing her suffering. It feels good to finally tell someone, even if it's just Reddit. I told my mum to let go of life, and she did. True off my chest. My husband lied about coming to help me while I was critically sick. I, 28F, have been married to my husband, 32M, for 3 years. We have a 1-year-old daughter together. Up until recently, I thought I could count on him when I truly needed him. But last week, he proved me completely wrong. I had been feeling off for a couple of days, fatigued, nauseous, just generally unwell. Then one morning, I woke up with a fever, chills, and a deep sense that something was really wrong. I was so weak I could barely get out of bed. Taking care of our daughter felt impossible. I called my husband at work and told him I needed him to come home. He promised he would. An hour passed. Then 2. He kept texting me, saying he was just finishing up something and would leave soon. Then he claimed he was stuck in traffic. Then he said he was on his way but had to stop for gas. At this point, my fever was getting worse, and I was struggling to even sit up without feeling dizzy. I told him it was urgent. He reassured me he was almost there. But something felt off. So I texted one of his co-workers, someone I knew he was close with. The response I got sent a chill down my spine. He hasn't left yet. He's still here. I was furious and terrified. I immediately called my neighbor, a kind older. She came over right away, helped me get dressed, and drove me to the hospital. Turns out I had a severe asymptomatic urinary tract infection that had turned into a serious kidney infection. My heart rate was dangerously high, and the doctors told me that if I had waited much longer, I could have gone into septic shock. 2 hours later, while I was lying in that hospital bed, shaking from fever and hooked up to an IV, my husband finally decided to show up. I didn't even want to look at him. He tried to explain, saying he didn't realize it was that bad and that he was just trying to wrap things up at work. But I can't get over the fact that he lied to me over and over while I was at home struggling to stay conscious. If my neighbor hadn't been there, I don't know what would have happened to me. I feel so betrayed. If he could ignore me in a life-threatening situation, what does that say about our marriage? About our future, about our daughter's safety if something ever happens again? I don't know what to do. Would you be able to trust your partner after something like this? True off my chest. My wife's last request for me. I only had 3 shit months married to the love of my life. We got married September 13th. She passed December 15. She was in and out of the hospital, but November 9th, December 15, she was in the hospital, then hospice. She had a respiratory in her mouth from November 10th until December 12th, which sucked because she was a talker. Hearing her faint whispers tell me to have fun, get married, have kids, still haunt me. Because 2 years later I'm trying, but I really don't want to. I want to live my life and have fun, I'm trying. If I get a chance, I travel to somewhere we never went to, try new food at a local place, go see a new release at the theaters, just basically do what I can to make her happy. It's just really hard. I feel like I'm letting her down by not being happy enough, not trying hard enough to be happy. I still feel like a failure as a husband. True off my chest. I hate how men treat me because I'm unattractive. My 24F whole life I have experienced firsthand how men treat an unattractive woman. I am a pretty woman in the face, but I am on the curvy side and don't look like a curvy Instagram model, so that automatically makes me unattractive. I have had all the usual unattractive woman experiences, which include a general disinterest from men in having any interaction with me and lack of basic human decency. As I've gotten older, I've learned to love myself and reject the need for external validation, but some of those old feelings are creeping up. A woman started at my job last year who is the same age as me, and she is very beautiful with a great body. The drastic change in treatment from the men at work has started to remind me of just how much different you are treated as an unattractive woman. Some men at work look so disgusted when I talk to them, but if an attractive woman does, it's a complete 180. The most quiet men at work suddenly became so talkative when she came around. Another co-worker that started recently also reminded me of this treatment. Me and a male co-worker had been increasingly flirty with each other, and then, one day he gives me his number on a piece of paper and asks if I can give it to the girl. These small experiences are hitting my self-esteem hard. The worst part to think about is how if I was thin, none of this would be happening to me. True off my chest. My husband just told me he's leaving me, and I never saw it coming. 30F husband 32M shattered my whole world this morning. We have been together for 12 years, married almost 10. We just recently bought our first house and upgraded our car within the last 6 months. We have 2 beautiful children, 13F and 10M. He came into the kitchen while I was cleaning and told me he had grown out of love with me and wanted to move out. I was completely blindsided and shocked by this. Everything has been fine, no fighting. We have a healthy sex life, had sex literally yesterday, and we are in a better place than we've ever been in our lives. My heart is shattered and I don't know what to do. When I ask him why, he just says it's him and not me. He swears there isn't anyone else, but this has been such a sudden switch that I don't know what to believe anymore. He admitted to feeling this way for a while and I can't help but feel dirty that he had sex with me so many times while thinking about how he planned to leave me. I love him so much and I feel like I'm dying. I'm so scared about what life looks like moving forward, and I want so badly to wake up, and all of this have been a bad dream. My entire world is falling apart. I've never felt pain and grief like this. Every single plan for my future involved him in it. I don't know how to tell my kids, and I know their worlds are going to be just as shattered as mine, while he seems to be fine with his decision. Someone please tell me this will get better, and I can do this because I don't know that I can. Edit. Thank you all for the responses. I'm running on 3 hours of fitful sleep, but I'll do my best to answer the most common ones I've seen so far. Yes, my daughter is 13. No, he is not her biological father. I had her when I was 17, and her biological father has never been involved. I met my husband shortly after her first birthday, and he has stepped up and taken care of her as her dad since. She doesn't know anything other than him in her life. Yes, we really recently purchased a house and a car in this economy. We purchased our house via private sale in October 2024, and we purchased our car last Wednesday. I live in a very rural area of southeastern Kentucky, and I'm sure that things like real estate are much more affordable here than other places in the country. No, there really have been no other signs. No fighting, no checking out, no weird work trips or nights out. Everything has been completely and totally normal in our lives. That's why this is so shocking to me. I am aware this could be the start of a manic episode, but have no idea how to help him or stop it. He has been under a ton of extra pressure with his job, and I've offered a handful of solutions, but somehow in his mind I'm the problem. I've asked in depth what I'm doing wrong, but he consistently circles back that I haven't done anything wrong, and he is the problem. He has no family for me to ask for help in talking to him, and the same for friends. I've begged him to go to counseling of some kind, couples or individual, and he has flat out refused. He thinks the idea of therapy is stupid. True off my chest. I don't like my new baby. At all. I 30F recently had a baby. This is my second child, and my first child with my husband 31M. I thought I'd love this baby with all my heart, considering my husband and I have an insanely wonderful relationship. He has also taken in my first child like his own, and we have a perfect family. But truthfully, I can't stand this baby. My firstborn is perfect in my eyes. Clever, beautiful, well-behaved. I love spending time with her. She is my soulmate of babies. Even as a newborn, I absolutely adored her. This baby, another girl, just ain't it. Even the pregnancy was terrible. The childbirth was terrible. Everything about her is just awful. She cries non-stop. She's not as cute as my firstborn. She spends all of her awake time being pissed off. She's 8 weeks old, and I spend my days just waiting for my husband to get home so I can give her to him. I haven't told him about this either, because this is his only baby. I'm sure in his eyes, she's a perfect little angel. Of course, I'll never act on anything. Anytime she cries, I respond. I love on her, talk to her, treat her just as I would my firstborn. Even when nobody is around, I love on this baby the way a baby needs to be loved. Smiles, kind voices, cuddles, kisses, everything. I'm just so over this kid. Maybe if I could spend 5 minutes of my time with her without her screaming in my face, maybe I could bond. Even when she's not crying, she just ignores me. I hate everything about this and really don't care for this baby. And I'll take this secret to the grave with me. But I really wish my heart had room for this kid. True off my chest. My boyfriend uses me as a trophy. I 23F have always been into gaming. Not in the casually picks up Animal Crossing way, no hate, love that game, but like I grew up on MMOs, I built my own PC, I know my way around a Souls-like. I met my boyfriend, 27M, a year and a half ago on Discord. We hit it off fast. He seemed so impressed by me, and he constantly said things like, "You're so rare an actual girl who's good at games." He called me his gamer queen all the time. I used to think it was cute, but over time it started feeling weird. Like he'd push me to say hi in his gaming group chats, even when I didn't feel like it. He'd encourage me to post my setups or gameplay clips, but he'd always attach comments like, "My girl's hotter and better than any of you." He started joking about how he upgraded because his ex didn't game. At first I thought he was just proud of me. But it started feeling less like he loved me and more like he loved the idea of owning me as a gamer girlfriend. It got worse when he made a TikTok showing me off without my permission. He filmed me playing Elden Ring from behind, captioned it like, "POV, you bagged a baddie who can parry." It got a bunch of likes. His friends were hyping him up. But all I felt was humiliated. Am I overreacting? True off my chest. People are ignorant. I feel like I understand a lot because of my life experiences, and I feel like my friends understand less because of their circumstances. Like they call me quiet and shy, which is annoying because they're not adopted, they've probably never been abused, etc. When a dog is abused, you don't blame the dog for being scared. You blame the human who taught the dog that they should be scared of humans. Why can't my friends and people in general do the same? True off my chest. My sister's husband keeps touching me, and I don't know what to do. I 28F have an older sister 30, who I'm very close to. She's married and I'm engaged to her husband's really good friend. The four of us have always done everything together, trips, dinners, double dates. We're like a little family. My wedding is in a few months, and my sister and her husband are a big part of it. But there's something I haven't told anyone, not even my fiancé, and it's eating me alive. My sister's husband has touched me inappropriately multiple times. The first time it happened so quickly that I almost doubted myself. I felt his hand on my butt, and I remember freezing, thinking, did that just happen? But it did, and I didn't know how to react. Then it happened again. I told myself he was just drunk, that he was being overly touchy, that it didn't mean anything. I was embarrassed. I was scared. I didn't want to make waves, so I stayed quiet. But last weekend it happened again. It's always at a bar, always when we're surrounded by people, but he does it so discreetly that nobody notices. And every time I go into freeze mode. My body locks up, my mind races, but I can't make myself react. His hand lingers just long enough that there's no question about what's happening, and then it's over before anyone else even sees. I can't pretend it was nothing. I feel sick. I know that if I tell my sister, it will wreck her. It will change everything. The four of us will never have the same relationship again. My wedding, our friendship, our family dynamic, it could all fall apart. I don't want to hurt my sister. I don't want our relationship to change. But I know it will. And I don't know what to do. Edit, I have an update. Wow, I didn't expect this post to get so much attention. First off, thank you to everyone who commented, messaged, or even just read this. I was feeling so alone in this, but reading your responses made me realize that I'm not crazy and I'm not overreacting. And more importantly, I'm not alone. So many of you told me I needed to tell my fiancé, and I did. And honestly, I feel so much better. He was heartbroken for me. He believed me immediately and was furious that this has been happening. We had a long, serious talk, and he reassured me that I don't have to go through this alone. We've talked everything through, and we have a plan moving forward. I finally feel like I have some control over this situation instead of just freezing and hoping it stops. I still don't know exactly how things will unfold, but I do know I'm not staying silent anymore. Thank you again to everyone who pushed me to speak up. I needed this more than I realized. True off my chest. My grandpa was sterilized because he was considered feeble-minded in Nazi Germany. After doing a DNA test that showed that I'm 22% English, which was very unexpected, I talked to my parents and found out that my grandpa wasn't actually genetically related to me. He was born in Germany in the 1930s. He was a simple, very kind man. The German government at the time deemed him not to be smart enough to reproduce, so he was sterilized against his will. My grandmother was very religious, and after they got married, her parents insisted on a grandchild. They used a sperm donor. Not sure if they did the turkey baster method or if she actually had sex with this man. Out of that union, my mom was born. She grew up in a very small village, and she looked exactly like her bio dad. She is also very smart. Anyway, I had to get this off my chest. Not the most scandalous secret, but I think it is interesting. True off my chest. My marriage is over. I chose this. I am not in love with my husband. It's been a long time coming. We've been together for almost 19 years, married almost 17. He forgot my last birthday, on a vacation to FL for my birthday. I let it slide. Then a man complimented me and said nice things to me, knowing I am married. I realized my husband didn't do that. I caught feelings for this man. He is not the reason I ended my relationship, but made me realize that I deserve better. I deserve to be held, kissed, and told I'm beautiful. My husband said he feels blindsided by this, which I understand. I gave up years ago trying to express my feelings. I'm sad right now because I'm stuck living in the same house until I can find a new place, and it is awkward as hell. I know soon everything will be better. I want to be happy again. True off my chest. I just want a broke boyfriend who loves me for real. Okay, so this is kinda embarrassing. But I need to get this off my chest, lol. I think I want a broke boyfriend. Like 4. IDK, if that sounds weird, but hear me out. I keep seeing girls wanting rich guys and luxury lifestyles and all that, but I dig about that stuff. Money is nice, but it's not what makes me feel safe or loved. I just want a guy who actually cares at me, not one who tries to impress me with expensive dates or gifts. Like, sit on the floor with me, eat ramen, talk about life, make me laugh until I can't breathe. That's what I want. I feel like broke guys love harder. They appreciate more. They know struggle and won't just replace you when things get hard. IDK. Maybe I sound dumb, but I just want something real. So yeah, if you're a broke boy with a soft heart and you need someone to hype you up and love you even when life sucks, I might be a girl lol. My DMs are open. True off my chest. My brother died, and I thought I was prepared for his passing, but I am totally not. My brother suffered from mental illness and drug addiction most of his life. He was a good person with horrible demons. A few YRs ago, he was diagnosed with AIDS, and after COVID, he lost all his funding that gave him support for housing and kept him on a straighter path. Since then he spiraled, and the city we live in has never really re-established mental health programs for people like him. I saw what was happening, and I could not help someone who didn't care to help themselves. I put myself out for him, losing relationships, friends, family, and money I didn't have. It came to a point where I knew he had given up, and all he cared about was heroin and crack, and I couldn't be his crutch any longer. Today I finally got the call I knew was coming. I just knew he would OD or pass due to not taking his antivirals. It was going to be one or the other. I was not ready to hear that he passed of hypothermia. He was cold, and I'm not okay. I have jackets, sleeping bags, and things I could have given him to at least keep him warm while he was out on the streets, and he never reached out to me. I can't help but to blame myself, even though I know and understand I did what I could when I could. He crossed my mind a few days ago when I heard it was going to be in the 30s again here, and I drove down a few of the places I knew him to be in the past, and couldn't find him, and was hoping that at least he was off the streets, but that was not accurate. P.S. I know my grammar sucks, and I apologize. I just needed to vent, I guess. True off my chest. Tonight, a man I didn't speak a word to told me he'd only sleep with me with the lights off. I was out having drinks with a few friends. One of them brought her boyfriend, and her boyfriend brought his friend. I hadn't had a single interaction with the friend, but he made sure to tell me, out of nowhere, I wasn't his type, and he'd only be able to sleep with me with the lights out. I never expressed any interest in him or any guy, as I just wanted to enjoy my night with friends. Now I'm stuck with this comment I'll probably think about for the rest of my life, that I'll think about any time someone actually does show interest in me. Edit. I hope anyone who has commented sees this. I just want to say I'm so grateful for you taking the time to respond to me. After being hurt like that, and then met with all this kindness from strangers, really lifted me up. A lot of comments helped me recontextualize this as his own insecurity and not something wrong with me. You all really saved me from a lot of hurt, and it's so encouraging to see people who care about and see the value in other people. Some people suggested it struck a bit of a chord in me, and I should reflect on why I was so quick to internalize the comments of someone I didn't know. And you're completely right. I guess it comes down to me being pretty young and still having a lot to learn about myself. I also had a troubling first relationship that has me questioning my self-worth constantly. Sometimes I think I've completely moved forward from it, but things like this remind me to keep working towards healing from that and being assured in myself. Finally, so many people came up with some really clever lines I really wish I could have used. If anyone is curious about the aftermath, this is what I actually said. Sorry, it's a bit long. When he first made the comment, I just completely froze because I was so taken aback by how unnecessarily cruel it was. I'm definitely someone who feels their emotions deeply and outwardly, so I took the chance to walk away and to the bathroom and collect myself so he wouldn't see he had the power to make me feel that upset. But I'm also the type of person who will always advocate for themselves, especially with a few drinks in me, lol. So when I walked back, I walked up to him and said I needed to talk to him. I walked him over to a quieter area, and as that happened, I was actually confused at the time because he almost looked excited. Maybe that aligns with what some of you had said. He was negging me to try and get my attention and probably in that moment thought it had worked. I told him initially that, in future, he shouldn't speak about me or voice what he thinks about me to anyone. He asked why. Being coy about it, I said that his earlier comment was disrespectful. I added that he had confused me because he was talking about his conditions for sleeping with me, even though I'd never even given him the option to sleep with me to begin with, because I wasn't interested. He played dumb, saying I was misunderstanding him and manipulating what he said. I told him he can deny it. He can do all the cognitive dissonance he wants, but we both know what he said and meant, and that it was gross of him. We were fortunately for him interrupted by his sister, who he tried to use as some sort of indicator that he was a good guy. Anyway, I told him to go off and get a drink with her, as she had just offered him one, clarified one more time. I had never been and still wasn't interested, and walked away. He let me go with a have a good night lol. So yeah, fortunately he didn't rejoin our group for the rest of the night, and I didn't see him again. Then I got home later and was alone and feeling hurt, so made this post. And now we're here. Thank you again for being so kind when I needed it. TrueOffMyChest. Roommate made a move on me and I let things go too far. For some context, I 21M have been dating my girlfriend 22F for over a year now. I live in a house with several roommates, 2 girls and a couple. The guy 29M is a friend of mine, which is why I moved here. And he shares the main room with his girlfriend 21F. Let's call her Sarah. Sarah is really outgoing and affectionate. She asks for hugs from pretty much everyone, including me. I've never had a problem with it, and while I don't really reciprocate, I also haven't told her to stop because I didn't want to hurt her feelings. This morning, she asked if we could have breakfast together before I left for class. We did, and at that point, we were the only 2 people in the house. That's when things started to get weird. We were watching TV while eating in their bedroom, and she started asking me if I've ever felt lonely in a relationship and other similar questions. I answered honestly, saying I'm happy with my girlfriend and satisfied with my life. I also asked if she had talked to her boyfriend about it. Then she started getting more touchy and kept wanting to hug me. I didn't say anything, which I know was probably a mistake, but she already looked sad and I didn't want to make her feel worse. After we finished eating, she said she was going to take a shower and then randomly asked, "Have you ever showered with someone? And would it be weird if we showered together?" That completely caught me off guard. I just said, yeah, that would definitely be weird, and awkwardly told her to let me know when she was done so I could shower after. A few minutes later, I was still sitting on their bed, processing everything when she came out of the shower in just a towel and asked me to help put lotion on her back. I put some on her shoulders and upper back, but then she turned around and looked at me like she was expecting something. I immediately got up, mumbled a goodbye, have a nice day, and locked myself in the bathroom. At that point, I was feeling all kinds of emotions. I was so anxious I had to sit for a while to think about what had happened. I showered, got ready, and as I was finishing styling my hair, she came to my room and asked if I could wash the dishes before leaving. I agreed. But right before I walked out to leave, she stepped in front of me and leaned in for a kiss. I turned my head as fast as I could, so she ended up kissing my cheek instead. I haven't seen her since. I know I should have been more firm, left earlier, or told her straight up that she was crossing a line. At first, I thought it was just a normal breakfast with a friend. But when things escalated, the nervousness, emotions, and overall thrill got the best of me. I've never been hit on by a girl before, and I guess part of me was just dumbfounded. But now I can't stop thinking about what I should do. I've always hated cheaters, and the thought of hurting my girlfriend makes me sick. It would also destroy my friendship with my roommate, and I also couldn't do that to him. But I won't lie, I'm afraid that under different circumstances, I might have given in. And that thought alone makes me feel like an asshole. I don't want to be that person. I know it's not worth it. And I don't think I would ever actually do anything, but I just can't stop thinking about it. True off my chest. My godson took a bed away from his oldest son for talking back. I took his job away and reported him to CPS. Hello all. I, 63, am in desperate need of advice. I have been the godfather to Keenan, 29M, since he and my son, Sam, 29M, met freshman year of high school. Keenan does not talk to Sam anymore, but that is a whole different story. I started up a company 5 years ago and allowed Keenan to work for me, since he just had 2 kids from 2 different baby mamas within a span of 4 months and needed extra financial support. Keenan is a great employee, and I couldn't ask for anyone better. However, Keenan has a habit of harming people in his personal life. He only talks to his dad and a few cousins from his family. Keenan now has 4 kids from 3 different mothers, 5M, 5M, 2F, and a 7-month-old M. The first 2 were from his first 2 baby mamas, and his youngest 2 are from his current girlfriend, Isabella, 27F. Keenan considers himself a spiritual guru and constantly follows outlandish conspiracy theories. He does not allow any of his children to have fun and will expect them to basically be perfect little servants at all times. He is literally the male version of Mommy Dearest. Keenan did not have a religious or spiritual background growing up whatsoever, but he had to endure familial issues he wasn't ready for at a young age, which is what I think caused his infamous spiritual awakening when he was 16 and a lifelong taint in his personality. There was one incident a few weeks ago where his GF Isabella texted me how Keenan got drunk the previous night and started to tell her about all the affairs he was having, while diminishing her and saying stuff like, "I'm only with you for your body and emotional support." He eventually called her a series of obscenities, got physical, and did stuff I shall not repeat. I was so infuriated that I sat Keenan down at my office the next morning and asked him what that was all about. He literally gave me a 45-minute speech about how most women are meant to only be used for their bodies. He started spewing some outlandish bullshit about how Isabella was likely a government spy in her late teens and early 20s that enticed targets, and that she would have to pay for what she's done to innocent men and women. I told him if I ever heard of another similar incident, he would be fired. The last straw occurred last Tuesday. At around 8 p.m., I got a phone call from Isabella saying that Keenan took his oldest son's bed away for a week for talking back. That was my breaking point. I called Keenan and told him to come to our local coffee shop to talk. Otherwise, I was going to call CPS right then and there. Keenan didn't deny any of the allegations as usual. He went off on a tangent about how modern-day children are corrupted and need harsh discipline. I told him after he sputtered for the better half of 30 minutes that he was fired from my company, and I would be calling CPS if he didn't give his oldest son his bed back. His final response to all of this was, "You are corrupted by the deep state." Absolutely no remorse or talk about preventing another incident on his part. The next day, I asked Isabella, and she said Keenan didn't give his son the bed back, and he even didn't allow him to eat breakfast the next morning for complaining about sleeping on the floor. I contacted Keenan's father, and we contacted CPS together. When Isabella found out, She decided it was time to finally break up with Keenan and sent evidence of physical abuse and threatening text messages to the police. There is now an open investigation, and Keenan has been staying with his friend. I am most concerned for the children. The baby mamas of Keenan's two oldest children aren't involved whatsoever. I have even thought about filing custody for the two oldest, since they do not have a solid parental figure on either side. What do I do? Thank you all.